Okay, you guys. So I recently watched this thing. I think it was on Hulu. I've heard a lot of people talking about it. If you haven't seen it, I'm gonna stop you right now. You should watch it before you watch this video because I'm gonna give some spoilers. Not necessarily spoilers, but if you watch this video before you watch it, it'll kind of ruin it for you. It is called In and of Itself by Derek Delgadio, I believe. So I highly recommend that you watch it before you watch this video. If you've already seen it, we're gonna talk about it now. So this isn't going to be like any kind of breakdown of it, but it inspired this video because the themes throughout are, first of all, it's incredibly well done. If you were watching like the first 20 minutes and you were like, what is this? I highly recommend you go back and watch it and just watch the whole thing, like give it a chance, because basically what it does is forces you to piece things together yourself. It's excellent. And it comes together in the end and it's so satisfying. But basically, spoiler alert, it's about identity, self-identity, perceived identity, and how they affect each other. Most of all, your perceived identity, and how it affects your self-identity. So basically like how people see you, because I've made videos in the past about assumptions, making assumptions about people. The themes of all of my videos they all kind of like come back to this, and it's typically like being open to other people's experiences, knowing that you don't know everything, not just looking at a person and sizing them up and deciding that you know everything about their life or their life decisions, or that they should be doing the same things as you, or judging them because they're not doing things the way that you would. All right, so obviously I made another video. Did I? I mentioned this in a video. I don't remember which one it was, but it was basically about like, what video was that? About watching, was it about parasocial relationships? Watching influencers, media people, celebrities, whatever, taking in what they're showing you, what they're telling you, and then basically creating your own version of them based on that information. So you're creating their identity to you. So one of the points about this, or one of the points that Derek makes basically in this, it's a one-man show. I don't really know what else to do. In this show is whatever this person's like forward-facing identity is how we are perceiving them. And we kind of like do this distillation. It's like we distill them into this is it. So if you're a nurse, you're a nurse. If I don't know everything about your life, if I don't know you personally, I see you as a nurse. What we have to remind ourselves is that nurse is also, let's call her Sarah. Sarah is a mother. She's a daughter. She's an artist. She's a skier. There are all these things that make up who she is, and it's not just, and they have absolutely nothing to do with just her being a nurse. So that's kind of like a very basic, I don't know, summary, I guess. So the information that we're given, or that we perceive, is how we create her identity and how we see her. And then the people around her who see her a certain way because she's a nurse, the way that we act around her or talk about her because of our, perception of who she is, affects who she is. Even though she's not just that one thing. And she has all these other things, other interests, other talents. She's a fully rounded person. It's like you start to kind of, depending on like what your perceived identity is or how people are perceiving your identity, you start to kind of like try to, maybe not try to live up to that, but maybe it's scary to shut that down. The way that I can like relate it to myself, because obviously like that's all I can do. When I was growing up, from like very, very young age, and I'm talking like 5 maybe, I had a lot of anxiety. I was really shy. And as I got older, that's how people saw me. That's how like friends' parents saw me, as like the very, very shy, quiet person. That's how my own parents saw me. I went to a private middle school, like elementary and middle school, from 2nd to 8th grade. And it was very, very small. Like my graduating class was like 14 people. It's freaking ridiculous. And I remember my mom was like, you need to go to a private high school where the classes are like very, very small. I really didn't want that. I didn't want to go to a private high school. I wanted to go to the public high school with all my friends from my first school. And luckily we didn't have enough money for me to go to private school and my grades were shit. So I went to the the public high school. And I remember being so excited. There were so many kids. It was huge. There were so many people, so many new people. And I was like so excited about that. And for me, it was like I was, growing up and becoming a different person and like expanding my horizons, if that's what you want to call it. But people were still perceiving, like my own parents were perceiving me as this like shy, quiet person who needed to be like protected, when it was the complete opposite of that. And I kind of like found that as I got older and I was trying to leave those things behind, people kept them alive. Like the people around me kept them alive. And I think it's because like the people around you, they know you a certain way, so they're not, I talked about this in another video. The people around you have the hardest time when you change because they know you. This is their idea of you. They know you a certain way. And then when you like break that or break out of that, or you make it some kind of a transition out of it into something else, they're like, what? This isn't you. Like you've changed so much. This isn't what you're into. You're not this like outgoing, confident person. You're quiet and shy and you need to be in small groups and you don't, go into rooms with like, not that I do this, I'm not talking about me, but just for example. Anyway, that's something that I've been like, that I can relate to because I have kind of always had this perceived identity of, quiet, keeping to myself, shy, not like someone who was going to get in front of a fucking camera and like tell people this stuff, right? But what's funny is that like even when I was very, very young and I was, ostensibly that person to other people, I never thought of myself that way. I knew that that's how I came off, but it's not how I saw myself. And I do think that those perceptions, because they can be very uncomfortable when people see you a certain way, it's uncomfortable to break through that, I guess, or contradict it maybe, because you want to, like you feel pressured to be who people think you are, I think. Which once again comes, it all comes down to those like assumptions that we make about people. And like we make this decision that people are who they are. This is like, we put them in this box. This is who you are. And this is, you know what? My brother made a really funny video. Did I mention this at the beginning of the video? He's a YouTuber as well. I'll link it down below, but it's basically like a commentary on, anytime a YouTuber starts in a certain genre and then tries to expand, their audience goes nuts because they're like, wait, you're this, like, you don't do this. You're in this box. How dare you do these other things? You haven't told us that like you have these interests or talents. It's very funny. I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite videos that he's ever made. And it all goes back to that like example that I gave with influencers. No matter how much they share with you, on the internet, no matter how much they tell you, no matter how honest you think they're being or they're trying to be or how authentic, you're never really going to know them unless you know them personally. And that is true of everyone. And one of the points of in and of itself is to remind ourselves of that all of these people, every single person is, a daughter, a son, a sibling, they have relationships that are like incredibly deep and they have all of these like personal experiences and they're not just these pods that are like floating around, and things like social media. And I would say even, a great example is like being in a car and experiencing road rage. You're not looking at the other person as a person. You lose your mind when they cut you off and you act in a way that you wouldn't if you were in person. But social media has really like exacerbated that because we're very removed. And as soon as someone is put on a screen, for whatever reason, you kind of like lose that humanity because they're just like this thing in this box that's like entertaining you. But we don't know them personally. We're not interacting with them one-on-one. So even if you're just like leaving a comment, you're not seeing how I'm receiving it. So if someone leaves a shitty comment on one of my videos, they don't have to deal with the, consequences because they don't see how, they don't have to be subjected to making me feel bad. Anyway, it was excellent. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Even if you just chose to watch this without watching it, please just forget everything that you just heard and watch it fully because it is an experience. And I think it really is going to do something for you. It's really going to it illuminates a lot. And it's going to be very confusing at the beginning. And that's intentional. So, yeah. Excellent. That's it. Great talk. I don't know. If you've seen it, don't read the comments either, because if you've seen it and you have your own thoughts about it, please leave them in the comments down below so that we can chat a little bit more, because I actually want to watch it again now to see if I can piece things together earlier in the beginning. I feel like there are probably bits that I missed. It's so good. And if you had a chance to see it in person when it was actually happening, please let me know. I'm very jealous of you. All right, great talk.